I'm calling it part 2. See if you guys can find me. Let's see if you find me. This is a good test. Let's see if I can. I'm going to put it in the usually it just adds, it continues the video, but I don't know what happened this time. There you go. You guys found me. Very good. Let's see if the others figure it out. I'll send a quick message. This shouldn't happen again. I just had to reboot. I had to reboot my settings here. My software froze. I know why. So it shouldn't happen again. But you never know. I'm going to send a quick note to everybody. Always go to the playlist. I didn't intend for that to happen. It should have just continued recording on with that video, but it looks like it closed it up. Anyway, there were some things that changed in YouTube that I haven't sorted out how to deal with. All right, so let's just wait for everyone to come back in. Who's here? Who made it back? Hi, I'm sorry. Not sure why I can't display my phone. I guess I have to reboot. So this is live stream. This is what happens. My edited videos, I have several edited videos and statistics. They take hours and hours to make. I prefer live streaming because I do it and it's done. But for the viewer, there's a lot of interruptions, a lot more interruptions. This is better for me. Troubleshooting as I go along. I'm just trying to reboot my phone. Okay, most of you guys are back. That's great. Hi, sorry. It should have just added on to the other video. I'm not sure why it didn't. And I don't know how it's going to deal with it because I have the same stream key. I don't know if we're going to lose the other video. I'm going to check my channel to see if the other one's there. Okay, here we go. Now you're going to see my calculator. So let's see if I can set these up side by side. That would be the ideal, right? And for people who don't have the calculator, you can watch what I do and mimic it on your device. Here it is. Not bad, right? Okay, so all I need to show is the upper, well, I guess I can show the lower side of the calculator after. So what we need to do is learn about the hard reset, the first instruction. But only use that sparingly, like when you really have to reset the entire calculator. Still waiting for about 7 people to join. So what you would do is, this will clear everything, all the settings, all the memories, and go back to the factory defaults. So you would hit second, reset. Now that's below. So let me show you that. It's below. That's down here. Reset, enter. And that resets the entire calculator. Remember, that's a hard reset, so you don't want to do that unless you really have to. And you'll understand and appreciate it because all the rest, the last 3 points, the last 3 bullets are settings that you want to keep in the calculator for the rest of this class, for the duration of the course. Okay, so then you can hit the C, lower that key there to just clear the screen. You see that C, that's C, clear, I don't know, it just, anyway, C for clear. All right, so now, actually I can go like this. No, it's not gonna do anything. So, on the third row of the calculator are the time value of money keys, TVM keys. That's where we're gonna work for the most part in this unit of the notes. If you want to start a new problem, and you're working in the TVM row, you just want to clear the TVM keys up, right? You don't want to clear the whole, or do a hard reset on the whole calculator. So just to clear the TVM keys, you hit clear, second, and then clear TVM, which is over here, the last in the third row. Okay, and that will clear your TVM. So let's see, if I put something in here, and I'll explain all this later. So let's say we have something, we have this information in the third row. If I say second clear TVM, that doesn't do anything. Oh, it does work, okay. It does work if I just do that outside of the TBM. That's good to know. Some functions don't work like that. You actually have to be in the function, or you have to be in the memory source to actually clear, and I'll show you what I mean. Any questions so far? Ah, we lost some people permanently. They haven't come back. Let me see if they wrote me an email. Nope. Okay, so that's clear TBM. Oops. So then there's the worksheet. The worksheet, there's a few worksheets. You actually have to be in the worksheet to erase. So let's say we have something in here, CF for cash flows. Let's just put a number there, 5, enter. So I hit CF, 5, enter, and there's a number in there. So if I just use the lower C button, if I clear the screen with the lower left C clear button, if I hit CF now, the number's still there. It's not gone. If I say second clear work, let's see if that works to clear the CF key. So if I use, you see clear work is in the lower left with the clear button. So if I hit second clear work, do that again, second clear work. Now let's go to the CF key. The number's still there. Can't get rid of it. The only way to get rid of it is to actually be inside of it and then hit second clear work, and now it's gone. Okay, so just repeating, let me repeat that. So there's nothing in CF right now. To enter something into CF, I put 5, enter, so there's something in the CF key. If I want to clear it, I have to hit second, and I have to go down to clear work. That's the only way to clear it. So that's what clear worksheet is. You actually have to be in the sheet, like an Excel sheet sort of thing, to clear it. And now it's gone. Questions? I don't want to make the calculator too small, or you won't even be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so that's what clear work is for. You actually have to be in the sheet to be able to clear. I'm accidentally going through the pages. Okay, so there. What about, okay, so now we're going to set up the calculator the way, the ideal way for the course. You want to show all your decimal places. Oh, what happened to my view? I had to fix the view. Funny. There you go. So to enter, to display 9 decimal places, and I'm going to require that you provide a certain number of decimal places at the end of answering problems, but intermediate, like in between arriving at the final answer, I want you to keep all the decimal places. So I'm going to teach you how to work with that. First of all, however, we're going to set up the calculator for 9 decimal places. That's the most that you can see. So to do that, so I'm just going to clear that. See, right now I just have 2. I want to see 9. So you hit second, format. Format is in the lower. Format's down here, so we're going to go down here. Second, format, and then it says 2 right now, right? Because it is 2 decimal places. But you hit 9 and then enter. There it is. It's set to 9 decimal places. So that means if I have a number, a result with many decimal places, it'll show them for me. So if I take, for instance, 9 divided by 11, I see 9 decimal places. So make sure you can see 9 decimal places. If you don't have this calculator, you have another one, make sure you can see the 9 decimal places. Your calculator will store more than 9, okay, just like the banks will store more than 9. Financial institutions will store more than 9 and operate with more than what's visible. So you should be able to do the same. Any questions? Oh, sorry, my calculator went off. Okay. Yes, for the test purposes, you have to have, I'll tell you how many for your final answer, okay? For your final answer, it will be 3 or 4 or 5, 6. You just have to read the directions carefully. Let me set up my calculator so it doesn't turn off. Well, I guess I don't have time for that now. Okay, I'll just keep working with it. Next, you want to set up your calculator because of the formulas that I'm going to teach you, the methods that we're going to use and the formula we're going to use. I adjust my variables so that they are all in the frequency of the compounding frequency of the problem. So for instance, if it's a mortgage problem and I'm going to use a rate that is monthly because payments are made monthly, then my problem has to be adjusted all to monthly payments with monthly effective rates. And if you don't know what I mean, it'll all be clear when we cover this. The point is, right this moment, you need to set up your calculator so that it will interpret your problems as having the same compounding frequency as your payment frequency. So to do that, in this calculator, we hit second, and you go to the P by Y, which is above the interest rate key on the calculator, and you set it to 1. Mine's automatically set to 1, but some calculators are not. And then you hit enter. Okay, so you run through those steps. No rounding in between von Meiri. I gotta get that right. No rounding in between, no. And I'm going to teach you how to avoid rounding in between. Okay? So should I do that again? So you're going to hit second, P by Y, 1, enter, and it's set. That's the one I was doing. And finally, we assume, unless otherwise stated, that payments in a problem are at the end of the period. Payments are at the end of the period. However, that's not realistic, so I'm going to also give you realistic problems where payments are at the beginning of a period. For instance, when you pay a mortgage, you pay at the beginning of a period. When you pay for rent, you pay at the beginning of a period, right? You pay before. Other utilities like your phone bill, you pay after you've used it, right? You pay after you've used it for usage. Although you probably have to pay something up front, but payments are usually at the end. So there are some things that are at the beginning, there's some things that are at the end, but most of the time we assume payments are at the end of the period. Now in reality, payments can be at any point within the period, right? But we will always assume it's either at the end or at the beginning. Okay, so we've simplified things for this class, but in reality you would have to make some other adjustments possibly. Anyway, so to do payments at the beginning, because the calculator's default setting is that payments are at the end, to manage payments being at the beginning, you need to set up your calculator differently. You hit second, and the word begin, which is up here above on the third row of the TBM row. So second begin, second, and then set. So that converts your calculator to begin mode. And you see the BGN in the upper, oh, what happened? You lost the feed. I gotta do that again now. I don't know what happened. Let me see. Oh, it changed. I have two Wi-Fi signals running. I should turn off the other. It's coming, it's coming. There you go. So let's do that again. Second, begin, second, set. That didn't work. Oh, I turned it off. Okay, second, begin, second, set. All right, that's what you should have. So if you follow those steps, second, begin, second, set, you see in the upper right, the top that says BGN, which stands for begin, that it signifies that you're in begin mode. Even if I clear with the C buttons at the bottom, the begin stays there to remind you that you're in begin mode. Oh, you want me to go back? Okay. So compounding once per period. Okay, I gotta go back here. Thank you for the tips. So once per period, so let me turn this off. Second, begin, second, set. And now I'm back to where I was. So let's do the compounding. So second, P by Y, tell it 1 period of compounding per year, or 1 payment per period. So 1, and then enter. So that's that. And then for changing to begin mode, let's clear that and say second, begin, second, set. and then clear the screen, but it does not eliminate the BGN at the top. So if you work with a problem where payments are at the beginning, assumed to be at the beginning of the period, you need to have BGN on your screen top. And at the end of solving the problem, you need to get rid of it. Otherwise, all of your tests will be done incorrectly, all right? So you need to get rid of this. How do you get rid of this? Does anybody know? How do I get rid of the BGN at the top of the screen? You repeat, you repeat the steps. Second, begin, second, set, and now it's gone. All right? So I don't expect you to memorize that today. I do expect you to keep your notes handy. This page in particular, tab it. Remember where it is so that you can reference it. Okay, so this is the idea of being resourceful. These are your resources, these notes that I've given you. So if you ever have situations where you're solving a problem and your answer is different than mine, check the settings of your calculator and reset. Reset, not by hitting the hard reset. Make sure you do these 3 things here that will set up the calculator to solve problems. Any questions for this? The next thing we're going to do is learn how to store values. You need to learn how to store values because, as I said, I'm going to require you you're not allowed to round intermediate results. So if you have a problem with many steps, you shouldn't be rounding your intermediate steps. You should keep all the decimal places. So, recognize on your calculator the store and recall keys. On this calculator, the store and recall are down here. Store and recall, store and recall, store and recall. You see them? So what you're going to do, let's see if I can make this smaller, a little bit smaller. There you go. So what I want you to do is I want you to store a number. So the way you store a number is you hit the number first. So you hit the number first. So let's say 10. Or let's do the one I did before, 9. So 9. Then store, and then 1. I just stored the number 9 into storage space 1. If I hit recall 1, it comes up. Recall 1. Let's do something a little more dramatic so you can see it. So what if I store 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So that number, store it in storage space 2. Clear the screen. And then I can say recall 2. There it is. So once you practice with that, and I'll check back with you, store a few different numbers. Store 9 in storage 1, and 11,111 in storage 2, just for practice. So if you have a different calculator, figure out how to do it. You're going to see similar, you're going to have similar buttons. Store and recall are pretty standard. Display. Okay, my calculator won't go off again. All right. So what I want to do is practice. Notice that there's there's 10 storage spaces, so you can recall obviously from up to 10 storage spaces. Oh, sorry, it's 9. I think 0 is also a storage space. Let me double check. 58 store 0. Yeah. Recall, so clear, recall 0. Yes. So 0 is also a storage space. So you have 10. I should probably change that. If you want to see your stored values, so let's say you have very complicated numbers in storage. If you want to see them before you delete them, or you just want to see them, you hit second memory. Where's that? All right, down here. Okay, so it's down here at the bottom. So second mem, and then you can scroll through. So I put 58 in storage 0. Oh, I hit the wrong number. I'll do that again. Second mem. So 58 was in storage 0, 9 was in storage 1, and 11,111 in storage 2. If you want to clear that, what do you think you do? How do you clear your memory, your storage sheet? So you have worksheets, right? So I've established you have the TVM worksheet, which you use clear TVM to clear. You have the CF worksheet that you use clear work to clear. How will you clear this memory worksheet? This is a worksheet, right? So I have different things. I can scroll through them like I would Excel. There's nothing in the rest of them. Look how many there are. There's up to 9. Plus 0 is 10. So how do you think I clear that? Right, Brian. Let's do second. Clear work, so it's wiped out. What if you want to clear one at a time? What do you think you do if you want to clear one at a time? So I'm going to put them back. So 58 store 0, 1, no, not 1, it was, oh, there's that arrow key, is very handy. You should get used to using that arrow key at the top that I just used. Okay. I put 9 store 2, no, it was 9 store 1, and 11,111 store 2. What just happened? Okay, so that's memory 0, 58. 1 was 9, and 2 was 11,000, and then there's nothing here. So if I want to clear all of them, I would do second clear work. What if I just want to clear 58? What should I do? I just want to clear 58, not all of these. 58 is wrong. What should I do? Any ideas? You guys can write me in Spanish. I understand Spanish too. I just don't like to lecture in Spanish because students find it amusing and it's too distracting. Yeah. Well, if you clear work, you wipe it all out. And let's say you have 10 entries in there. So you just want to clear 58. Just put 0, enter. So actually you can just use, see, I didn't erase the others. I just cleared this. So you could actually use this memory as a worksheet to enter values. You don't have to use store and recall. But you understand, to get them out, to see them, to use them in your calculations, you will use recall. So you need to learn recall at the bare minimum. Okay? So I got rid of the 58, but I kept 9 and 11,101. Sorry, 111. So some of you are probably like, I already know this. Some of you are thinking, I don't need to know this. Some of you are getting it. I need you all to get it, all right? I need you all to understand this because I'm going to count on you understanding this. You're not going to be typing out problems like you do, you know, in the TI-84 where you put the whole formula in. No, no, no. We're going to be using the TVM keys, and you're going to be efficiently recalling components and working with them. These tests that I give you, I'm giving you time to prepare them, to answer them, but really you should be able to finish these efficiently in an hour and a half. And by the final exam, by the time we get there, you're going to have to know how to do these, answer these questions efficiently. I'm not going to be there to monitor you, but I'm teaching you the calculator because there's some things that a financial calculator can do that scientific cannot. Okay, so we need all those things. Those are the minimum requirements for the class. All right, the last detail regarding the calculator, the finance calculator, is to understand that it operates, or it calculates and operates the functionality of it, thinking in terms of cash flows. And cash flows come as either cash inflows, positive, or cash outflows, negative. And the calculator keeps track of that because, as I explained, the formula are programmed into the calculator, and you can solve one variable knowing the values of the other variables. To keep track of things, the calculator has one side, you know, keeps track that one side are the inflows and the other side are the outflows, and it does that with the signs. And I'll show you what I mean. If you've never used a financial calculator before, you'll get used to this, but I need to explain it to you. Yes, if you don't have a calculator yet, that's fine. Just watch. You're gonna have to watch the videos again, but it's good to just sit with us and go through it this time, okay? All right, so there you go. So let's start. This is the basic time value of money formula from which everything derives. I'm going to begin with explaining the timeline, and then we're going to get right into exercises. I keep on positioning this because I want to keep the calculator on the screen. See, this is, like I say, it's the difference between edited and live stream. You guys are seeing me do this real time. Let's see if do I need the bottom? Yes, I do need the bottom. There you go. It's pretty good. So this is the horizon. This is the timeline. On tests, I'm going to be grading your work. So I want to see timelines, because let's say you misinterpreted a problem, because I'm going to be giving you the tests in English. If it happens that you misinterpret a problem, I will penalize you for having the wrong answer, but I will give you some credit given your timeline, given how you've interpreted the information. So you'll lose marks because you're doing it wrong, but I'll give you some credit if you tell me this is how you interpreted things. So what you're going to put is the time period here, and I call it periods because sometimes we'll work with years, sometimes we might work with months like in mortgages, sometimes we might work with days, credit cards, or some sort of loan. Okay, so I'm just going to say period for now. Oops, sorry. And at the top, you're going to put the period timing. So 0, 1, and 2. I could have negatives, but for the most part, I'm going to talk about period 0 being now. Something in the past would be back here before the 0 would be like last period would be -1, or 2 periods ago would be -2. So although this is pretty basic, it's quite dense with information. You begin now, you pass through period 1 to the end of period 1. So that is what's going on. So right now, you could call it the beginning of period 1. Beginning of period 1. You could call it the end of period 0 because something happened before it. Or just say it's called now 0 or today. Then period 1 passes and we arrive at 1. 1 is the end of period 1, but it's also the beginning of period 2. So this is very philosophical. Every moment in time is at the juncture of the end of something and the beginning of something, right? The end of period 1, but the beginning of period 2. We pass through period 2. Period 2 ends, but it's also the beginning of period 3. So very basic, but dense with information that you realize that there's 2 perspectives here. So I will present formula, and you should be able to make the adjustments depending on how you're looking at the information. Are you looking at the information to speak about the past? Or are you looking at the information to speak about the future? And at which time point are you interested? That's what we're going to focus on. All right, so there's my basic timeline. And now we have to talk about the motivation for time value of money. What does the time value of money concept say? One second, I want to get, oh, I don't like when I do that. One moment. Okay, so the motivation for time value of money. I just want to spend a moment before I get into these exercises. Tell me, which would you prefer? a dollar received today or a dollar received next period? Okay, so which would you prefer? A dollar received today or $1 received next period? So most of you agree, because you're finance students, you know it's today. Now I want you to tell me why. In a couple of words, tell me why. Okay, so just in a couple of words, like 2 or 3 words, you should be able to answer. Okay, so $1 today, but why? Okay, inflation. Okay, Tiana, say it in a couple of words. It's very good. Right, Alejandro. Right. So you guys can write in Spanish, it's fine too. So basically the one words or the few words would be because of opportunity cost. Okay, and then all those other things you said, and the other things you mentioned, they figure in, but essentially it's opportunity cost. And not just opportunity cost, I would have to say, well, no, I think it's just opportunity cost, because the fact that there are some people who have $1 today and other people that don't creates a market. Some people today would say, I don't have $1, but I want one. So they would forgive, or they would give up future consumption to borrow money today and then pay it back later with some interest or some premium to the person to compensate them today for not having the dollar today if they were to give it to you. So this creates financial markets. I mean, that's a broader term, but that's the idea. Because there's a difference of people, it creates a marketplace. And in that marketplace, financial markets arise because some people are willing to give up what other people are prepared to borrow and pay back later with some extra, right? So that extra is what we call the opportunity cost. So if we get down to the nitty-gritty, you guys talked about inflation, so that means that prices are changing over time and the uncertainty. Yes, all those, so uncertainty also is managed in financial markets. So there's an opportunity cost. If you have money, if you have money today, if you have the opportunity to get money today, you could loan it away. Even if you don't, even if you just kept it, you put it in a drawer, you put it under your mattress, there's an opportunity cost to having it today that you could take advantage of. Okay? So you could have it and you can do something with it. If you don't have it today and you wait for the next period, well, you lost. You've lost something. You lost the value of being able to take advantage of financial markets. I'm making, financial markets sounds very highfalutin, very fancy, but basically that there's people that would like that money today. That's basically what creates the opportunity cost of having $1 today. All right, so that would be the simple answer, opportunity cost. So in the midst of our world, right? I'm going to abstract and I'm going to create a very simple world. And I give you examples, right? So the very simple world, in this example, there's a prevailing interest rate of 8%. That 8% is available to people who are prepared to invest or save. I made one interest rate. In reality, in real life, there's a ton of different rates of return. But in this exercise, I just give you one. Okay, so I've identified one. So, and I make the statement, I want to invest this. So if I invest, I'm going to get 8%. There's no other interest rates around. And I ask you, what is $1,000 invested today worth in 2 years? And then I ask you, how much of it is simple and how much of it is compound interest? So what I'm saying should be a review, but I'm trying to refine your understanding, make it much more precise. So one interest rate prevails, 8%. You have $1,000 to invest. What would it be worth in 2 years? How much is simple interest and how much is compound? Let me give you guys 5 minutes. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to figure that out and write the answers in the chat. Well, don't write anything for 5 minutes, okay? So wait for 5 minutes. Don't write anything right away because I want everyone to have a chance. And you guys should know how to do this, but let's see what comes out. That looks really small. I'm trying to write 5 minutes. Actually, I have an iPad. I ordered an iPad and it's coming, and my other iPad's having some trouble. So I will probably try and work with my iPad next week. In the meantime, I'm just going to use this PDF. So you have 3 questions. How much is $1,000 invested today worth in 2 years? What is the simple interest and what is the compound interest? Don't look at the rest of the slides. I think I wrote the answers in. Okay, there's a couple more minutes. Oh, I got a little pen here. I said 5 minutes, but now it's probably 2 minutes. Okay, so you can write your answers. Write down your answers. What is it worth? What's the simple and what's the compound interest? Okay. Okay, Alexander. Okay, yes. I just want the interest, not the rate, like the interest rate and the interest amount, right? Simple interest and compound interest. Remember, the principal is 1,000. So we're just clarifying your understanding. Keep writing me. Okay, good. So we have some more talkative, chatty people than others. Okay, so you guys get the hang of it. Anyone have a different answer? Okay, so how do we do this? And what is simple and compound interest? Which you should know, but let's review it if you don't, or learn it properly if you didn't get it completely. So, oops. Okay. Okay. So you guys are answering different questions, but you're all around the same. You're all around the right answer. Okay, some of you got it right, but okay, let's get through this. So to the notes. So we understand. So I'm going to introduce the notation that I'm going to use, and this is aligned with the calculator. So I'm going to talk about this amount being the principal amount. The principal amount grows by a factor, accumulation factor of 1 plus the interest, right? So it's always 1 plus the interest rate. So that's the accumulation factor. And I'm going to accumulate for 1 period. I'm going to leave the amount there, even though it becomes 1,080, I'm going to leave it to accumulate even more. So because this amount accumulates for with another factor of accumulation, 1.08, I can write that with a factor exponent of 2. Okay, so this is how we build the formula that I'm going to use in general. So that 2, just like this 1 corresponds to this subscript, so this tells me the future value of period at period 1 is 1 period of growth or 1 period of interest on 1,000. And then this is at the second period, end of the second period is 2 periods of accumulation on the principal amount. And so that's the formula that we're going to use. That's very straightforward. And if you put this in your calculator, analytically in a scientific calculator, you'll get the answer. So you need to be able to, in this course, punch that into your calculator without the TVM keys. You need to be able to enter it with the TVM keys as well. Okay? So that's what I want you to be able to do. Now let's just do that with the calculator first. Let's just do this slide and then we'll get on to the... So again, this must be basic for many of you. That's good. It's a review. So how will I enter this? I would enter just with my scientific calculator, my scientific keys. I could put the 1,000 first, but that would be silly. Let's start, always start with the more complicated. So I'm going to start here. So I'm going to say 1.08 y to the x. You see this key? Y to the power x. You should use that with a 2 equals. That'll give you the accumulation factor. And then multiply by 1,000. So that'll give you the answer. So that's how you would do it analytically, just using the calculator. You also have a square key. You could have done that with 1.08 squared times 1,000. Very straightforward and easy. So next, let's try this with the time value of money. I'm going to clear that screen. This is the formula that's on the formula sheet. Basically, starting at time 0, a principal amount or present value, PV for present value, amount is invested at an interest rate I. So you write 1 plus I because the 1 is for the principal, and then the little extra for every dollar invested is interest, to the exponent big T. That's the duration of the investment. And you use this formula for as many periods as are necessary, period T. So that's the basic time value of money formula, which you should know, but if you don't, there you go. And let's put this in our financial calculator using the finance TVM row. We are going to enter the value first from left to right, starting with N. We enter 2 periods into N, and then 8 as a percentage. You don't enter it as a decimal to your finance calculator. Then you tell the calculator that I'm going to invest $1,000. So investing is a cash outflow, and you, oops, do that again. $1,000, do it one more time, $1,000, and put a negative in front of it, and that's a cash outflow because I'm going to invest it. Then I press PV. This problem has no payments, like an annuity would have payments. This is not an annuity problem. This is a basic time value of money problem where I invest an amount and I watch it grow. Only one payment at the beginning, or one investment. So I'm going to put 0 overriding the PMT, the payment key. And then I'm going to ask the calculator to compute the future value, and that is the answer. So right now, this is not too complex. Doing it, solving using the TVM function seems just as easy as solving it analytically or solving it by entering it into the scientific keys. But you're going to appreciate it later that we're using the financial calculator and the finance keys. All right, so we got the value, we solved it analytically, we solved it using the TVM keys, and now the question was, what is the difference between simple and compound interest? So simple interest is just taking the interest rate on the periods of time. It's just the interest as though we are not accumulating and charging interest on the interest we earn. So it's ignoring any interest on interest. It's just, you can write that formula onto your formula sheet if you like. So it's the principal amount times the interest rate times the number of periods. That's the simple interest, and many of you got the answer. Some of you wrote it also with the principal amount in. That's not exactly it's not exactly the right answer, right? So simple interest, when I ask for the interest, it's just this extra. Interest is like a premium. This is the extra you get. Compound interest is the interest on that's going to be paid to you on the interest accumulated. So for instance, in the first period, you earned $80 interest. Now you're going to get interest on that interest. Okay, and that's the compound interest piece. So to get compound interest, the simplest way is take the total interest minus the simple interest, and that would be the difference here. Okay, so that's how I'm going to approach this. That's the easiest way to get it. Simple interest is very easy to calculate. It's somebody who hasn't taken finance or doesn't understand time value of money would think of it that way. They'll just take you know, the time period times the interest times how many periods transpired and calculate an interest. And you know, after a couple of periods, it's not going to be much of a difference, right? It's only $6.40. It's not a big deal. But if you think of the millions and billions or trillions of dollars, interest on interest over many periods really accumulates. So compound interest is significant over long periods of time and with large amounts of money. Large investments or large loans accumulate exponentially interest amounts, compound interest amounts. Okay, so you got it? So let me go back to the slide where I introduced the formula. We'll just review the formula, which most of you guys know. Here. So as I said, the third row of the calculator is the TVM row. N is for the duration of the investment on your calculator, but we use T. Interest will be I by Y, and it has to be in percentages, not in decimals. PV is for present value. Payment for this formula is not relevant. We just put a 0 in there. And remember, we set our calculators for end of the period payments, but that's not relevant yet anyway. FV for future value. And this is the formula. So this is the first formula that you get. Now, with this formula, you have 4 variables. You have future value, you have present value, you have interest, and you have time. So from 3 values, you can solve for one of the other variables, or the remaining variable. And that's what we want to talk about next. And we want to use both analytical solution to solve it, and isolating for the variable on one side to solve it, and also, so algebra is required, and then also the TVM keys. So I'm scrolling back to where we left off. So here we are. So what if we want to find PV instead of FV? Let's do this. First I write the timeline. Right, to store the values in this calculator, you have to put the number first, then you press the button, and that's it. You don't have to hit enter. You just have to go through. You want me to do it again? Maybe I just did it once. Let's do that one more time. One more time here. So so let me clear TVN second. Clear TVM. So now it's empty. And I enter 2 to N, right? You don't have to press enter. 8 to interest. 1,000 with the plus or minus key to make it a negative. And then 0 into payment, because you have to fill all the keys. And to compute, FV will give you the answer as a positive. Notice it's a positive because that's what's going to flow to you. That's the cash flow inflow because of the investment at time 0. Okay, to make the negative or positive, it's this key here. I don't know if it's flashy, but the bottom plus or minus key beside the, like below, on the very lower, does it flash? Anyway. All right, let's go to here. So now we're going to solve for a different variable. We're going to solve for the present value. What is a value today? Sorry, let's see this again. What is the value today of $1,000 to be received in 2 years? So this is the timeline which I asked you to draw them. So $1,000 received in 2 years. What is that worth today? That's the question. Now we think about how does that, what does that mean? I can just, I don't have to understand this at all. I can just put this in my calculator and get an answer and that be it. But what is it that I'm really doing here? I'm trying to figure out what is the value of $1,000 to be received in 2 years, because I want to be able to do something with that future cash flow now. I know it's coming in 2 years. How can I take advantage of financial markets knowing that it's coming 2 years where there's an 8% prevailing rate of interest? If I know it's coming in 2 years and I know it's for sure at the end of 2 years, I could borrow the equivalent amount in today's dollars and then do something with that money, and then later at 2 years return the money at the $1,000 with the $1,000 that I get from whatever source. Okay, so I'm going to get $1,000 to be received in 2 years. You can think of it like that. Also, you could think if there's an investment opportunity that's going to pay me $1,000, promises me $1,000 in 2 years, what would I pay for that investment opportunity? So those are two ways to think of the same scenario. One, saying, how could I borrow against the $1,000 coming? And two, you can think about what would you pay to get $1,000 in 2 years? So both of those capture what is it worth today. So as I said, we can just use our formula. This is our formula in the form that it is, right? Present value, accumulation factor for 2 periods makes this in the future. So this is FV2. So that's one thing I could do. And then algebraically, I could rearrange that and solve for the unknown, which is PV0. So So that's what I do. I can do that algebraically, and I can put this in my calculator, which everybody can do. Let's do that. Let's just do that first, and then we'll do it with the financial keys. So if I was to put this into my calculator, I could go, well, I'm going to teach you a trick because, again, these problems can get more complex. So I'm going to use this easy example. To use our calculator. So 1.08 y to the x 2, you can say equals, and then you can use the key that looks like this, that will flip it, so it'll make it a discount factor. Now it'll become a discount factor that I multiply by 1,000. It won't let me do it. Oh, sorry. I don't know why. And then you want to multiply that by 1,000. I'm sorry, I don't have my iPad. Okay, so this is how I would enter it. Now it seems overkill for a problem you probably know how to solve using the calculator, but I want to teach these tools. So this would be so 1.08. This would be 1.08 to the power, so y to the x 2 equals, and then I flip it to make it a discount factor and multiply by 1,000, and I get the answer. So it says to me that it would be worth $857.34. That's the most I would pay for an investment that promises $1,000 in 2 years. Okay, that's the most. If they were selling this investment opportunity, this product for less, if that was available to me, then I could actually earn a profit. But this is the fair price. Okay, that's the fair price. If you don't like my the way I approach the problem, that's fine. You can solve it how you like, but later I'm going to bring this technique up later, and it's very handy for more complex problems. So now let's enter this into our financial calculator keys. I'm just going to make a note that this formula is actually I put it in a box because this is a common use or manipulation, or what do I say? This is common enough calculation that we give it a name. And this is a discounted amount, right? This is a discount formula. And I put it on your formula sheet that I share with you. I have many slides on this. So now let's enter this into the financial calculator. So I'm going to clear my TVM, second clear TVM, and I start again. 2, then N, 8, interest. I leave PV because that's what I want. There are no payments, so I put 0. And I'm going to get 1,000 cash inflow in the future. So now I'm going to compute PV. And it tells me negative 857 and 33. And yet PMT is payment. There are no payments here. Payments are going to be for problems of annuities where payments are made over time, like mortgages. And for, you'll see it also for bonds. Bonds make payments, either receive payments, or if you are talking about being the company that's paying a bond, you're going to make payments. Oh, I wrote payment. Sorry. PMT means payment. So the negative is amount out of pocket $857.34. So that's what that amount. I would write the answer as a positive because it's, even though the calculator is speaking in cash flows, I have to answer that question in terms of dollars, and it is $857.34. Repeat. Okay, so from the beginning, let's clear. Second, clear TVM. I enter 2 into N, 8 into interest. PV I leave blank because that's the one I want. 0 into payment because there are no payments. It's just one amount we're talking about. And then 1,000, we're going to receive it, so it's a positive cash inflow. And then we hit compute and PV. How's that, Jennifer? Very good. So class is almost over. I didn't take many breaks, although I was interrupted a lot, so I hope those were seen as breaks. I like to take a little break each hour, but because of the interruptions, I didn't bother. All right. Let's get on to the next one. So for the next one, we're going to continue. We're going to solve for another variable. We've already solved for, oh, just to make a point, we call this discounting, right? We call the amount 1 over 1 plus I to the t a discount factor, and we refer to this as discounting. So $1,000 to be received in 2 years is worth $857.34 today. Either we can borrow against the amount coming and see what we'll do with the proceeds today, or we can spend $857.34 to get that investment if it's available, that opportunity is available to us. So those are two different ways of understanding what $857.34 means. Okay, what if we want something other than the future value or the present value? Let's say we wanted interest. So it's a cash outflow of $857.34 to get 1,000 later. I'm just looking at Bon Mairi's comments. Okay, did I answer that okay? Okay, so let's continue. What if we wanted to solve for the interest rate? So in other words, say that financial security sells for $900 today and promise to pay $1,000 in 2 years. What is the rate of return on this investment? So I've given it a different name. I've called it the rate of return, but essentially in the formula it's still I. It's the interest that would be paid. Okay, so I'm going to use a lot of different terms for the I, just like they do in the finance field. Depending on the scenario and the application, I is going to get a different name, but it's I for purposes of the formula. So we can put all these values into the formula. This is the future value. This is the present value. I have the duration of the investment. I want to solve for I. This is the timeline. This amount is the cash outflow. This is the inflow. So what is I in between every period? So to figure that out, I can do that algebraically, and I can do it with the calculator. First, I'm going to use the calculator, and then we'll look at it algebraically, analytically, like isolating for I. So let me clear the TVM and enter 2 into years. Interest we leave blank. 900 is the investment. There are no payments, so I put 0. And then I earn 1,000 at the end, so that's a positive. Let's repeat. So let me clear it again. 2 into n. Leave interest blank. 900 negative into PV, because that's the investment. 0 payment, but then I earn 1,000, so I can compute PV. No, what did I do? I have to enter that again. So if I make a mistake, I have to go negative 900 PV. So I compute, I hope I didn't screw up all the other things, interest. There you go. So I've solved it using the financial calculator. In a test situation, I would like you to make the timeline, write this formula. If you write this formula here, you earn 0 points, because you're basically just copying a formula. Okay, 0 points. 0 puntos. Don't think you're going to get any points here. This earns you points only. And you will not get any points for indicating what you write on or type into your calculator. 0 points for this part. You can write it down for yourself just to keep track. But this is what I want to see. So in a test situation, I want to see a formula. I want to see your answer. I do not have to see it solved unless I ask you to solve the problem, or I say show your work. Because this is an intermediate course, I assume you know the algebra. I'm not going to ask you to do it every time, but you should be able to do it every time. So if I'm to ask you on a test with 5 problems to solve analytically twice, you should be able to do it. So how would you solve this the long way? You'd have to take 1,000, so isolating for I, 1,000 divided by 900 equals 1 plus I, and I'm going to skip a step and go like that. And then you would have to minus 1, take that amount, -1. I wouldn't round any intermediate calculations. And you should be able to get the same answer. Okay. So just to be sure, you have to -1. Don't forget to -1. Minus the principal amount to get the decimal, and then interpret it as a percent. If you're having problems with decimals and percents, please let me know immediately so we can resolve that, because I'm going to assume you know the difference between a percent and a decimal. All right, so there's also solving with, for t, it is 11:45, so I can stop the lecture. I'm going to leave you with these notes, leave you to play with your calculator. Let's see how far I can ask you to go. I'm going to give you, I will review these, but I will ask you for next week. What I'm going to do is send you some problems, and the problems should take you, I think you should be able to do this whole worksheet, I'm telling you, because you learned this before. Everything here you've learned before. I want on the answer, Kelvin, if for a test situation, I want the formula, I want the timeline, the formula, and the answer. I don't have to see anything else. Anything else will not get you points. You can write whatever you want, but I'm not going to give it points. Okay? If I ask you to show work, then you have to do this the long way. Analytical solution, isolating for I. So I will say to you for next week, review all the notes, review everything I've given you. I'm going to send you some exercises you can practice without the answers, and then we will discuss the notes and discuss the answers. So that's it. This is like a review. I don't think that there's much that's really new. It's more of a review, okay? But the new part is learning how to use a financial calculator, which is required for this class. All right, so I'm gonna stay on the chat for 5 minutes for people who have questions. Anyone else who wants to go can go. Have a good week. Be in touch. I will. Okay, I'll go back to solve that. Let's do that together with the 1 over x. It's a very good technique. All right, so here I did, okay, 1.08. So I focused on the bottom. I focused here on the bottom first. So I go to the most complex part of the equation and I write 1.08, and then I hit, you could use the x squared key, but just for future reference, because you might not have a square, you might have a different exponent, you hit y to the x, 2 equals, and then you flip it. The 1 over x key flips the number. And then that is your accumulation factor, or discounting factor, sorry. And then you multiply by the 1,000, the principal amount. So these are keys in the calculator, and the others are just numbers. This is a key. Well, they're all keys, but I mean functions. Operations, let's say operations in the calculator. Good. Thank you. So you flip, okay, so let's do some flipping. Let's do, let's put 5 in the calculator. Well, no, it's 5. Let's do 2, right? We know that the flip of 2 is 50%. So you see, I just hit 1 over x. It's 1 over x is the flip. Flip it. I can flip it back and forth just pressing 1 over x. Good, thank you. So if you guys are using other calculators, you know, you can, and you want to stick with using other. Yes, el recíproco, exactly. Reciproco. I can't wait till I get my iPad. I hope it resolves my issues. Reciprocal. So if you have another calculator, you can spend the time. If you want to stick with using your other calculator, that's fine. Just teach yourself how to use it. Like I said, if you have the HP 10B2, I do have slides for it. I even think I have slides for the TI-84. I just don't want to encourage you guys using that calculator. I don't like that calculator. Only a few of you had the right calculator today. The app in the phone is really the best, I think. You always have it. Always have it nearby. You always have your phone. You might not have your calculator nearby, but you always have it if it's the app on the calculator, because you always have your phone nearby. Okay, that's 5 minutes. I'm gonna say bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.